Dallas Goedert is sticking around. The Eagles and their tight end work out a deal to keep him in midnight green this season. We've got the details, plus what it means for this offense. And speaking of Dallas, a big move in Big D. The Cowboys trading for receiver George Pickens. How much of an impact will he make playing opposite CeeDee Lamb? And Barrett Brooks takes a closer look at Kyle McCord, the St. Joe's prep product, who is back home playing for the Eagles. Welcome into Birds Huddle, presented by Toyota, official automotive partner of the NFL. Along with Rueben, I'm Ashlyn, Sullivan. So Goedert, going into the final year of his contract, he was slated to make more than $14 million, but none of that money was guaranteed. He didn't have a deal. Instead, he agrees to a deal that'll pay him $10 million with an extra $1 million in positive incentives. Feels like this is a very good compromise, Rube, to keep both parties happy here.
Yeah, I think he'll still be able to feed his family, even with this pay
terrible
cut.
for him.
Yeah, so look, it's a great deal for both sides. The Eagles get to keep a guy that's still a really good tight end when he's healthy, and Dallas gets to stay where he spent his whole career, his first 7 years. A good team, a team that's going to compete for a Super Bowl every year as long as this nucleus is intact. And he doesn't have to go look for a new team in the middle of May when teams have spent all their money and they've got their tight ends for the year. So it really made sense for both teams. That's why I was really confident it would get done, because it made too much sense for it not to.
Right. This kind of buys everyone a little bit of time this season. And that brings us to our three-point stance presented by Toyota. Dallas Goedert is a top 5 tight end. Despite the pay cut, he's been a very productive player when healthy. Can he stay on the field this season and produce at a high level? It's definitely the biggest question. But he can earn himself a long-term deal with a good season coming up. And we're going to deal with this, of course, next offseason, Rube, is where is that going to be? Because as of right now, it's a 1-year deal. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I still think, look, his days here are probably numbered just because Howie wants a young team. He wants a young roster, and Dallas is 30, and you mentioned the injuries. I don't think he's a top 5 tight end anymore. Some of these new guys coming in, like Trey McBride and Bowers and Sam Laporte, have kind of bumped him. Still think he's top 10 tight end. But the thing about Goedert is he doesn't miss seasons. He's always back in time for the playoffs. He's one of the top postseason tight ends in history. He's in the top 10 in catches, and I think he's 11th in yards in history in postseason production. So as long as you can get him to the finish line healthy like they did last year, I think he's a really valuable guy, and he's going to miss time. It's just, it's happened every year. He's averaged about 12 games a year over the last 5 years. So he'll miss 3 or 4 or 5 games, but the important thing is, do you have him for the postseason? And so far, that's been the case, and that's really where his value is.
Right. He's been so productive when he is on the field, so you definitely see both sides to this argument here, which leads us to number 2. The Eagles are running it back on offense. They will return 10 of 11 starters from that Super Bowl team on that side of the ball. Mekhi Becton is a lone departure, and that consistency is definitely something to count on. It's very rare in the NFL when you can run back an offense like this after winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you look at the talent. I mean, the O-line, the skill guys, Super Bowl MVP at quarterback. And they'll miss Mekhi Becton. I still am not sure Tyler Steen's going to be the starting right guard, but that's a question for another time. But
talk about that all August.
Yeah, that's right. I really think this offense actually underachieved last year. They only averaged 27 points a game. When you look at that talent that you see up there, that's not... Now, look, Goedert missed the 7 games. A.J. missed 4 games. Devontae missed games. So they didn't have the whole group together all that much. But I really think they underachieved. This should be about a 30 to 32 point offense with the talent they have. So I think bringing them back and having this group together again, and really not starting from scratch like they are on defense,
right,
and really starting with the nucleus intact, and they all know each other. They know how the guy next to him plays and thinks and sees the game. I think that's a really valuable thing. And obviously the coaching is new, some new coaches on the offensive side of the ball, but that's okay. I think Kellen Moore, you look at what they did in the postseason. They really finally got in that groove that you waited for all year. Look, they weren't bad, but with that offense, those players, that talent on the roster, they should have been better.
Right, and that's what I'm curious with this somewhat new coaching staff on offense, to get in more of a groove earlier on, because we talked about it so much last season. When were they going to find the passing game? When was it going to get consistent? I'm curious if they still have that style of play where it's so run-focused right to start the season.
Yeah, it's interesting because running backs don't rush for 2,000 yards in back-to-back seasons. And I think it's possible there'll be more of a passing offense. When you take your passing coordinator, make him the offensive coordinator, maybe that's a hint.
Good hint there, yeah.
But look, as long as Saquon's productive like he was last year, he's going to get the ball 30 times, 25 times a game. But you would like to see the passing game a little more evolved, and I think it has a chance to be.
Right, earlier on in the season, that's for sure. And now to the Cowboys, who made a big splash trading for Steelers wide receiver George Pickens today. Dallas is giving up a 3rd and 5th round pick to Pittsburgh for Pickens and a 6th rounder. And Pickens is entering the final year of his rookie deal. He's been really productive, but a bit of a handful. Dallas had to do something, though, Rube. When you look at this, they finally get Dak Prescott a weapon. This seemed like the best option, but it comes with a cost.
Yeah, there's a reason Pittsburgh didn't want him around anymore. And I think he's a very good receiver. I'm not sure he's a great receiver. 2 years ago, had a really big season, averaged over 18 yards, had 1,000 yards. He's a guy that, I don't think he's a bad guy, but he's a guy that will complain when he doesn't get the ball, which is probably half the receivers in the league. But look, there's a reason they didn't want him there, and he's Dallas's problem now. And as long as he's getting the ball, he's productive, he's going to be fine. But when that doesn't happen, let's see how he reacts. Let's see if he causes trouble. And look, they're a better team with him on paper, and Dak hasn't had a 1-2 punch really since Amari Cooper was there with CD. So as long as he's happy, he's content, and he's making plays, makes him a better team, a better offense. But we'll see how it goes.
Right, and that's why I think this is going to work, because if you trade him to any other team that already has an established offense, the Cowboys need him. I think he's going to get his targets. This kind of seems like a match made in heaven, where they're going to make him happy because, frankly, they have no one else really to throw to besides CD.
And being in a contract year does tend to motivate people.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Definitely some interesting stuff going on with the Dallas Cowboys. And now it's time for the playbook presented by Supercuts. I caught up with Jason Kelsey, who gives his outlook for the 2025 Eagles. Plus, we count down the Eagles' 5 most important offseason moves. And Barrett Brooks breaks down Kyle McCord's game as the South Jersey native comes home. This is Birds Huddle, presented by Toyota, official automotive partner of the NFL.
Birds Huddle, presented by Toyota, proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles and official automotive partner of the NFL.